Strings definitely play a part in achieving my unique sound. I like to say the bass acts as another lead instrument, so I want my strings to really bring out the brightness and the grit, and I think the guitarist strings do just that.
Let's do the rubber bridge.
Cool.
Because that's kind of been in vogue lately.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of people rocking those now.
So this is a rubber bridge baritone made by Ruben at Old Style in LA.
Really?
And these started popping up a lot 2 or 3 years ago. Kind of everywhere in indie music.
And country.
And country.
We literally just did a rig rundown that'll come out at some point in the future with Rob McAnally, he's a studio dude in Nashville, and he's like, I don't like the instrument, but I have to have one for recording because people have been requesting it so much. So it's popping up all over the place, these rubber bridge guitars. What have you dug about it?
I honestly just love the textural sound that you get with it. For this tour, I'm using it because it's on the record, but I love it. I have one in standard at home as well. Blake Mills kind of was using it at first, and then like I've heard it on Phoebe Bridgers records, Taylor Swift records, so it's kind of like the sound of indie. But I love recording with it because you can take like just the mic'd up sound of it's almost harp-like and very textural if you can mic up like the fretboard and finger noise, but then you also have like 2 pickup options. I'm using it on the Grudge and Lacey.
Okay.
And the Grudge is like such a beautiful song. It's one of my favorites in the set.
That sound. It's kind of like it has like flats on it, like a old flat bass.
Yeah, it does. So actually, because it's a baritone, I've got a 7-string set from Ernie Ball, and I'm not using the low 7, and so that's what I'm using for the...
Wow. It strikes me, it's a baritone, but it doesn't look like an extended like scale length.
Yeah, it plays great. I mean, it's not a vintage guitar. It's like a newer Recording King, which are not expensive guitars, but it sounds great. It's like an absolute vibe guitar, but the rubber bridge is really cool, and it's working really well in arenas too. I think one thing that my tech Mao and I were talking about at first was how to like eliminate room noise and everything, because one of the pickups that's more like microphonic piezo was tough with everything, but it's really been isolated and nice, and it sounds great in the room. Yeah.
Well, so you mentioned it on the Grudge. What's the other song it gets used on?
I use it on Lacey as well.
Okay.
So gotta find it here. So on the record, this is the main guitar used for Lacey, but for a different kind of live instrumentation, we decided to have Daisy on acoustic playing it on steel, and then I come in more as a textural thing. The cool thing about these guitars is that to get really the best sound out of them, you have to play them really light. I tend to be an aggressive player, especially with my right hand. But with the rubber bridge, you really have to like slow down and really play it with light touch, or else it sounds just like kind of floppy. But if you play it really light, especially recorded, you get such a nice sound.
It takes the charm out of it.
You get that like classic indie, harp.
It's no diss to the guitar. I would call it like a lullaby guitar. It's so soft and bubbly. It's a wonderful sound.
Totally.
Understand why it's kind of taken over the airwaves.